Hey guys, so I have a different location, as you can obviously see right now, than the last time that I filmed. That is because I'm currently in my apartment. So the first half I recorded in the business room. This half is going to be part two, and I'm going to be recording in my apartment. You can see the birthday balloons are up in the background. Zuza put them up for my birthday last week, which was very nice. But I'm here for part two. Now, this is a while after part one was filmed. Um, so, honestly, was that done intentionally? No. It was not. I, I got tired. And so that's the only reason why this is coming later than the other half. I'd love to say that it was for a strategic reason. But I kind of like that it came at another half, so maybe it happened on purpose because obviously, if you've gotten this far, you've watched part one. And in part one, I talked a lot about obviously what it's like to actually move to another country, specifically Canada, specifically Toronto, or anywhere really this can be applicable to in your 20s, early 20s. So, since the last time we talked, a few things have majorly changed, which is actually why I like that this is part two. Because when part one was here, we haven't had a few updates, which I now have. Update number one is we're now at a stage where we're waiting for Zuza, my girlfriend's visa, to be approved. And also, Zuza, everyone congratulate, has received a promotion in her job to team lead, so store lead of where she's working, which is pretty impressive. 22 years old, team lead. Let's go. So we have them two major updates. There's been a lot of stress recently with the anticipation of waiting for Zuza's visa, her work permit to, please God, be extended. That's caused a lot of stress and trying to figure out if it doesn't, what ways we can go about it with an immigration lawyer, things like that. Um, so that's going to bring me to another point of moving away. I think recently I actually have felt the most grateful I've ever felt for being here. And it's a reality, I think, of a lot of people when you move away. You always say, I'm definitely going to go home after this amount of time. I'm definitely going to go home after this amount of time. When you move away, that is harder to do because you settle really easily. Now it took me a long time to settle. I talked about that a little bit in the first half. But I think financially, we're the most stable we've been in our jobs. With our success rates, been the most successful. Please God, that'll continue. All these things. I don't know if I had a cat last time I was here. But now we have a cat. We have a little Remy running around the house. So there's been a lot of changes, and I actually don't think I've ever been as grateful to live here right now. I made a TikTok recently, and it was saying about essentially. I think sometimes I feel a little bit of guilt for loving it here so much when you have family at home and things like that, and also because obviously you can hear from my accent. I'm from Ireland, so there's a lot of pride in being Irish. Obviously, when you're Irish, are like it's a you're proud of being from Ireland, you're proud of Ireland in general. That comes with it. For most people. I have my Irish flag up in the corner. So and that was a big part of my life growing up. I was definitely like very much interested in the Republican side of Ireland. So loving it here so much. That brings guilt as well in a weird way from that point of view, which is strange. But even like, I think you find little wins. You have to really take in the little wins. So if you are thinking about moving away, random lesson. I didn't think I was going to give a little tip this early on, but you have to really like take in the little wins. Like, little wins are a big thing here, I think. Like, because there's so much to moving away. I think It's scary to move away because you settle, and then if you have to go home, you have to start again. But you're always able to do that, which is not everyone is able to do that. I'm blessed in the fact I'm able to do that. But if you're in a position like that, you have to count yourself as very fortunate because a lot of people obviously don't have that. If you do have that, that brings a bit of stability, but it's still scary. So a lot of fears with moving away in terms of actually moving back. So I don't think people talk about that a lot is the transition if you're not moving somewhere to permanently be there or you're not sure if you want to permanently be there. I think there comes a lot of uncertainty with that, and I think when like we've only been here a year and like we've our whole lives, like this apartment is our life. It's a huge part of our life. If you look around it, if I like is a bit of fuss everywhere. Like even goddamn, like we have a wine bottle with flowers for fall. Come on, that's so cute. But our like apartments, our whole personality, which I love. Like we've got little Remy going crazy over there, who needs to be doing dirt, by the way. We have our jobs and we're getting settled with our jobs. You really get like when you move somewhere, you are starting, especially in your early 20s. It's like you're starting a life somewhere. Um, so that's something to keep in mind as well. Maybe it's just us that we're like, not that we don't want to ever live in Ireland, and not that we don't ever want to live in Canada. We just have such a lovely life here right now. We're building our life here right now, and then I see things at home, and I'm like, oh my god, there's so much I love about home, and there's so much I love about here. It's crazy. It messes with your mind a lot because you're like, oh my god, what do I do next? But you don't have to know what you're gonna do next. It's hard to give advice on this portion because I think this is something we're actively going through. So I might in a few months do a part 3, I guess, on this. Right now, how it's feeling is pretty. There's overwhelming parts of it, but a lot of gratitude for where we are right now. Like I really appreciate like everything here right now. Like even I went like jacuzzi this morning because I was like, gotta use it. You know, I think when there's uncertainty, for some reason, you appreciate something more, and that is really weird. And it's not that you don't appreciate it when you're like in it, but it's just like when it could be like taken away, you freak out, and you're like, oh my god. But please God, it won't be. But I think it's a lesson for me anyway, is to try and always be like, it's fine to say you're grateful, and you are, but I don't even know if it's a lesson because I don't even know if it's possible. You're all like, if you practice gratitude every day, that's really important. But if you're like, if something's about like you don't know, like that fear is crazy, and that it changes your perspective a lot. And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but I think trying to practice gratitude every day is something that you need to do. But obviously, having fear isn't always good either. So I'm trying to find a balance with that. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. Diesel's got a promotion. Waiting on please God her visa to get approved. Planning on staying here a little longer. We're vibing. um, but really everything's going quite well. We just had Annie over here, one of my friends, so that was really really nice. She had a great time. I don't think anyone who's visited so far has loved it so much. Like I think Annie really like fell in love with Toronto, which was really really cool to see, and it's specifically where we live, which a lot of people where we live. Obviously, I'm not going to disclose that, but it's in Toronto, but it's a little bit more of a little town, a little more scenic. So people find it a little quieter because obviously, if you go downtown, it's a city. So I think people at home and everything they like want to see the city, which is obviously I want to see the city as well when I'm here. I love going downtown, but I love where we live. It's a little town and it's a little cozy little place, and I think she just fell so in love with it, which is really cool. And Toronto in general, which was so cool. So that was a really good experience to have. And we went to Niagara Falls, and we didn't even know this was happening. We were literally about, we went to the falls at night because they light up at night. So that's really cool. I wanted her to see that. So we went down. We were standing there for a good while. So we were like, okay, let's go, and we turned around and it was like boom, like a massive sound. Annie thought it was a gunshot, so she like turned me around. Um, and it was firework. And I was like, Annie, I think there's going to be a firework show. So we looked it up, and there was one at 10, which I didn't know they did it. Like, apparently this they do it through summer. But I remember me. I think We've tried to watch this. Me and Zuza tried to watch it. I don't know. I think maybe we tried to watch it when my parents were here, and every time it wouldn't be on. Like we'd miss it, and then we'd look it up, and it was like we just missed it for whatever season it was or whatever occasion. We just miss it every time. So it didn't even cross my mind to be like, oh, it's probably on. But it was. And it was so crazy. The fact that, like, if that, and the weirdest part was the firework that went off that Annie was like freaking out over because we didn't know those fireworks. It came 10 minutes before the actual firework show started. So it was crazy. It was like a lot of things were aligning really well when she was here. Like, things like that. Like, it was just crazy stuff that, like, it was like a sign almost like, oh no, look, wait. But the fireworks were amazing. They were like the best fireworks I've seen ever. So cool. It was crazy. They were so impressive. But yeah, she was just here. We had the best time. We're missing her a lot, actually. Um, Big loss to the household. I'm gonna have a look on my phone because I remember last time there was some questions, and I want to see if maybe there's some that I could still answer because I know I didn't go through them all. Let me see. Okay. I'm gonna go back to my little Q&A because that was my little life update. And I'm gonna answer some more specific questions about what you want to know because I really want this to be like advice for anyone moving. Um, and actually helpful advice. I want it to be like something I don't know all the answers at all, but I want it to be like not in like a romanticized version of what movie OA is. I want it to be like actual an actual experience of what it is for what we experienced. It's obviously not going to be applicable to everyone, but for us specifically. But Breedan Evans, hey Remy, you want to say hi to the people? Yeah, you do. Yeah, he does. Come up here and say hi to the people. Come on. He'll come up when he's ready. I'll show you him when he does. He's a little grumpy today, so I don't want to pick him up if he doesn't want me to. But anyway, here we go. Breedan Evans. Do you believe in the saying, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life? I would imagine yes. I mean, you must. I think that's something like a lot of people obviously work jobs that are maybe what they chose out of specific fields that are like conventional or maybe a little unconventional, but like they're specific fields to get a paycheck and you try and build your way up to make a paycheck. Now, I think if you really like something, there's still stress that comes with that. I like, I can imagine that there's always going to be stress with work, no matter what it is. For example, if I had this podcast and then, yeah, I don't know. That's a really good question. I think it has to be, I'd have to talk to someone that like really loved their job. Not that I don't like my job. If my job's listening, I like my job. um, but I think there's pros and cons to a lot of jobs. Like even when people talk about doing social media and that was always their dream, I still imagine they see it as working and I don't know. I think it's important to love what you do. I don't know how realistic that always is though. I think I think you can maybe make a lot of it. I can think you can make it a reality. But I think I don't know. That's a tough one. What do you think, Brianne? Let me know. I probably should have asked someone this question before answering because I actually don't know. I think maybe if you do something I guess if you're really passionate about something and it's literally like you feel like it's your life calling, then I don't think you'd see it as work. Maybe like a response to it could be a downfall. Like I think there's obviously pros and cons to everything, but I think if you really love what you're doing, then probably it wouldn't feel so much like work as much like a passion project. So maybe that's my answer. Maybe. I think yeah, in a way. Let me see. Bridan. Bridan Evans again. How do you keep calm and carry on in stressful situations? You just have to. Sometimes there's just no way. You have to make a choice that you have to keep calm and carry on. I think everyone has bad days. You go through days where your body doesn't feel great or your mind doesn't feel great, and that can last a while. Um, I think trying to mind yourself through them is important. No one's well, maybe some people are perfect at it. Actually, there probably is. Well, probably not. But there's probably people that are a lot better. I wouldn't say I'm very good at that. Like I don't eat fruit and veg and things like that, or take vitamins. I eat fruit and veg sometimes, but not enough. I don't drink enough water. Oh no, I don't do a lot of things maybe like that that would help me. So I'm by no means a perfect example of being calm and carrying on, but I do know everyone has ups and downs, and it's important not to go too down. You got to try and stay up, but that's harder. That's easier said than done. I spend a lot of my days anxious. It's just part of my personality. It's always been. It's not a big deal, but well, it is. But I think no one knows like a lot of what you go through, and you're never going to really tell people all of what you go through. No one understands it fully besides you, but your closest people as well. I understand it most. No one's going to understand you like you. The closest understanding that will come is from people close to you. Let them in. You should let people in. You can't do it alone. Sometimes you want to keep things to yourself. That's sometimes okay. But you should let people in, and you should let them help you, and you should let them be there for you. That isn't being weak. That's not at all being weak. That's actually the opposite. Asking for help's a good thing. But how would you keep calm and carry on? Sometimes you just have to. I think sometimes you just have to take things, and I think prayer for me is a big thing, which might be a surprise to people. I don't know if I talked about that in the first half that I'm a religious girly. I don't think a lot of people know that about me, but I find prayer helps me for things that I can't always control. I think that I don't know if that's a good way of explaining prayer, but I think sometimes it gives me a sense of it's still not in control, but it's in God's hands. Um, you know, and I pray for safety for everyone I know and things like that, and everyone. I think things you can't control, giving that to God, giving some of your stress to God, not to God, but letting God help you, and with that, and taking that off you a little bit is a good thing. If you're religious, that might be applicable. If not, then practicing gratitude. You don't have to be religious for practicing gratitude. That really helps you, I think, a lot. I saw a quote the last day, and I don't know if I fully agree with it or not, but it was like, if you're anxious, you're not being grateful. Now, that doesn't always apply because I'm always anxious, and I like to think I'm grateful for a lot of things. And sometimes you can't control your anxiousness. But I think what it meant is if you're stressed about certain things, you've a right to be stressed, and it's normal to be stressed, and it's okay to feel stressed. It's okay to have feelings, but and not but and uh, you also have the side where you're like, I'm healthy, I'm happy, I have maybe a great family, whatever you have, a great opportunity to have a job. Like sometimes I found if I was getting stressed about work and I was trying to practice gratitude. Now, this didn't come till the last few months, by the way. This hasn't always been here. This is a work in progress. And it doesn't always work, but you got to try it. I found even going to work if I was feeling stressed about working, because if I got callers, I'll be yelling at me or something. I'd be like, I'm grateful to have a job. Something like, I'm grateful to have free coffee in my job. It's things I'm like, things like that sometimes can bring down the stress a little bit, and it doesn't diminish your stress or what you're going through. It's not to do it in that way, because you should never do that. But it's brings it down to earth a little bit, like it kind of settles you down, like, and whatever you have, everyone is something small, even like I'm grateful to have my phone, I'm grateful to have access to this, I'm grateful, like there's something with the you that you hold close to you. If I mean, maybe not everyone in the world, but if you're watching this, you obviously have access to technology, so it's something I've access to watch videos that make me happy. I don't know, something like, it sounds silly, but it isn't. um Gratitude, if you're not a prayer girly, Gratitude's a good one. Um, I don't know. Keeping calm, no one I think is fully ever calm. Well, again, I'm stereotyping because that's probably not true. There probably is people, but a lot of people aren't always calm. I think people make it look easier than it is sometimes. And I think sometimes you just have to power through and just try and mind yourself during it and try and realize some things are just out of your control. And you can just do your best. You can pray or be grateful, and that's all. And just mind yourself through that and try and do things you enjoy. And if it's really stressful and you can't do any of these, it's just a stressful situation. I mean, you just have to sit in that, um, try and bring it down a notch, do something you enjoy, um, but try to mind yourself. Uh, you know, that's always, I think, the main ones. And poster just fell off the wall. That's okay. Let me see. Another question. What's been the biggest surprise since moving over to Canada? I don't know if I answered this before or not. Oh, God. How blessed we are, should be a better way. The difference in the amenities here. We've a goddamn pool downstairs and a jacuzzi, man. That's cool. The amenities that come with living here and like renting and things is really cool. That was a surprise. I didn't actually know all that. Um, surprise. How settled you get. The independence you have when you move out of your house, but even I think moving to a different country because you really have just you and who's around you here. You have your phones and things, but you have no one to be like, drive me here, or I don't know. You don't go home and stay at home at the weekends, or I don't know. A lot of independence comes from it, I guess. And with that independence, I think you've settled. You build a life quicker than you would think, actually. A life really starts building the second you get a place in a job. Um, you have to nurture that a lot. But I think, yeah. I think, I don't know. I think they're probably my biggest surprises. Learned a lot. I feel like I grew up really quick in terms of maturity, not in like any other way. I just mean like even like how seriously I took my job, things like that, not having people just to rely on, not really wanting to rely on everyone. I think it took me months to get there. Again, I would say the last 6 months. Let me see, five, four, yeah, maybe the last few months, 4 or 5 months. It started. I started to turn that around with a push from other people, and I just got there myself. I think you realize you have like you mature really quick. I think not really quick, took time, but you do mature over here, and it matures you in a way eventually. um, that was a nice surprise. I feel like I've grown as a person a lot the last few months, like 3 or 4 months, a lot. And I'm really happy about that in my maturity level and things. So that's probably the biggest surprise and the best one. And how much we love it. Probably is a huge surprise. I love it here. I think in conclusion, there's a lot to moving away. It's an overwhelming stage in your life. You learn a lot, you grow a lot, you mature a lot. You I think that doesn't come just from yourself. You need people around you, even if that's in your job, to be like, you need a little less stability that motivates you, that matures you. Best thing I think that'll happen to me that I can carry on. Make your house your home is a good one. Uh, our apartment, we quite literally made it our home. Um, it's somewhere that shows both our personalities in little ways, and I love that. It's a safe place to come back to. And I think that's a good one. Make even if it's a really modern. We don't have a really modern one. We have a nice. It's a really nice apartment, but it was made. This building's from the '60s, so even if you have a modern one, make it your own. Put pictures on the wall. Like do put little decorations. Make it yours. It's somewhere nice to come home to. Then it doesn't feel like you're in a hotel. Make it your home. I would say don't move around too much apartment wise unless you're actually wanting to travel like a country. I don't know if that's good advice because I've never moved anywhere, but I just think it's really nice to have that one place you're like, okay, I'm solid, love where you live. Uh, if you don't love where you live, maybe then move, but try and settle in it. Patience is a big one, but don't expect everything to be perfect, but you grow a lot, you learn a lot, and it's worth it. It definitely is worth it. I would encourage everyone to move away. You learn a lot, even if your anxiety is bad and you worry about stress a lot or how you'd handle that. I think you have to handle it, and you learn to handle it in healthier ways, maybe, or you have to try and learn in healthier ways. So I think it's really a growing little experience. It's great. I'm just being very grateful lately. So that's how you can tell from the second half. But be prepared for a lot of inner work. That's probably the biggest one. And be prepared for stress and money issues, maybe. Not for everyone, I know, but maybe. And try and do things you love. If you're here, if you're moving to Toronto, make sure you do things outside your house in the winter because you can get cabin fever. A little bit of that seasonal depression mixed in there a little easily. So try to get out of that. And yeah, move with someone you love. Or if you're moving by yourself, fair fucking play. And learn to really love being with yourself too. It's just, no one has it down. I don't have it down. No one's perfect. I don't mind myself perfectly. I don't handle stress perfectly. Um, oh no, listen to podcasts. This one. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I watch a lot of YouTube, and I like to listen to people who inspire me. That helps me a lot. Um, Especially when there's only a certain amount of people around you. People around me, of course, inspire me as well, but like, it's nice to listen to other people talk too. Work hard, have fun. The work, inner work, usually kind of comes naturally as long as try and have people around you that want you to grow. That's a good one. That's how a lot of my inner work came. That's really important, and that love you. And if you feel that you don't have people around you, maybe that's pushing you, and you think maybe you should be doing more. Reach out to someone and ask. And try and open yourself up for wanting to grow and improve a little bit and take it day by day. It's a day by day thing. Nothing's guaranteed ever in life. So you just have to pray for the best and do your best, and that's all you can do. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. This is the first ever episode of Off the Record and On the Edge. This has been Danelle O Brien, and I'm excited and hoping to be more consistent. This episode, second half, might have been a little more mushy, a little more washy, but I'm glad there's two parts and two stages of where my journey's been. It's a few weeks apart from each other. So yeah, thank you guys so much. If you listen to this, I hope it met some of your expectations. It's only going to get better from here, and I hope I gave some good advice. My advice is always going to change because I'm only 22 and I'm just learning and I'm growing and I'm trying to get better at things and improve. So take my advice with a pinch of salt. That's where I'm at right now. Thank you so much.